A truly wonderful good day and a warm welcome to a new video. Today we're taking a closer look at the clutch system. Properly bleeding the clutch system is essential. Why? Because there's a strong suspicion here that something's definitely not quite right with the clutch system itself. And before I take it or replace the slave cylinder, I wanted to bleed the clutch system once to check for any issues. But you'd also bleed the clutch when, for instance, you're changing the brake fluid. It often gets overlooked, but you can bleed the clutch at the same time. For instance, when you've replaced the master cylinder or if you've opened up the system, it's definitely worth doing it properly. Then you can bleed the whole system, or if you're having issues with the clutch, then you can bleed the whole system. It's definitely important to go ahead and do this. Or of course, if you're having any issues with the clutch, like for example, the clutch not engaging properly, or the clutch, for example, if you're driving and it becomes either too hard or too soft, because the clutch fluid is essentially brake fluid, which can directly influence its performance, feel, and how it holds up over extended periods of time. Water also accumulates over time. It can of course get extremely hot. Air bubbles form, which is why the clutch system needs to be bled periodically as well. Most people don't do it. But it's also important, and that's how it goes with the final load clutch. I hope that we can resolve the issue here, because the problem we're dealing with is that the clutch feels a bit too soft. And yes, there are essentially two primary approaches to bleed the clutch. Either by using a brake fluid tool or by having two people work together to complete the task. One person operates the clutch while the other opens the system, effectively pushing the fluid through the entire mechanism carefully and step by step. Is there anything else to mention about it? This is now a white vehicle, a VW Golf 5. VW Golf 5, model year 2005, 11th of May, 2077 kilowatts. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, the entire system is designed to operate primarily through the brakes. Yes, and then here we have the slave cylinders and the master cylinder. Also a very common issue with the VW engines, or with VWs in general, I'd say, is that the cylinders often fail or wear out over time due to frequent use and stress. The good thing though is that the slave cylinder isn't located inside the gearbox but mounted externally on it. That's very good. Why? Because if it breaks, it's easier to replace. There are systems where this part is located inside the gearbox, where the gearbox then has to be removed. A shitty job, but that's how it is. Yeah, this here is a kind of slave cylinder. This here is a master cylinder. It's basically located at the clutch pedal. We press here. Then the fluid gets pushed. Fresh brake fluid comes in here. And then it just goes through, like essentially a cylinder, through the line to this component, and it operates the entire mechanism here. This cylinder pushes out once, allowing us to completely decouple the entire system. It's constructed entirely from plastic material, or plastic, however you'd prefer to refer to it. And right here we've got the vent valve. Through this we can vent the entire system out properly. And as I mentioned earlier, these parts frequently tend to have issues. Should you replace the master cylinder or replace the slave cylinder? Yes, that's correct. I can't tell you that right now. I usually recommend starting with the cheaper one, which is often the slave cylinder, and it's also easier to access. So the one that's at the clutch pedal is a bit harder to replace. Maybe we'll make a replacement video about it. Anyway, long story short, we're here to bleed the clutch. I'd say let's just jump right in and get started now. Yeah, we've got to take out the air filter box here, so we can get to the slave cylinder properly. And now we can take a good look at the whole thing, because that's exactly where it's located. A bit too much light here. That's where the whole assembly sits. First, I'll remove the cap. Yeah, I'll loosen it using an 11mm socket. It's actually pretty straightforward. And once I've got it loose, I can easily open and close it later with an 11mm ring spanner. I'll just take it off here now so we can get a better view of the container and see what's going on. Now, in my opinion, we need to make a bit of a distinction. When you completely replace the brake fluid, or when you only change the brake fluid. Of course, it's always best to completely suck out the reservoir and put in fresh brake fluid. In my opinion, if you just want to bleed the brakes now, it's enough to simply top up the brake fluid and then give it a try. But I think the best approach is to do it thoroughly for safety. Needs to be completely replaced. Okay. It's black. Like, seriously? Will we replace all the combustion fluid later? To pay attention to when you want to bleed the brake and clutch system, first bleed the brakes and then the clutch. If someone has questions about the correct sequence that should be followed, make sure the brake fluid level is topped up first. Once that's done, we can move forward to bleed the entire system now. Then we'll attach the hose securely and we'll get the process started right away without delay. So now, with the clutch, pump 3 times. Now keep the clutch held down. Let's open it up fully all the way until the clutch is completely pressed down, okay? So then we'll go ahead and close it up all the way properly now. Release the clutch pedal. It won't return by itself. Then pull the clutch pedal back toward you by hand. Pump it 3 times. So hold it steady. Keep the clutch pressed down. Open it up. When it's fully pressed down, we tighten the valve back into place again. Now release the clutch pedal or pull it back towards you. Alright, now pump it 3 more times once again. That's how it goes the whole time. Now, hold it down tight. Release it 3 times once more, so pull it toward yourself. And pump it 3 times again. Alright, now release it again and pull it back towards you. Then you can put the cap back on everything. Burning fluid. We'll definitely replace that later anyway. If burning fluid has spilled on your side, make sure to rinse it all off using water. But in this video, as mentioned, it's about the clutch. Yeah, then we can reassemble the whole thing here. Alright folks, this is what it can look like. So, the topic of clutch bleeding, VW Golf 5 or VW in general, you can't exactly name the video that now because the slave cylinder is positioned a bit differently in each specific vehicle model and setup configuration, as you can see. But this video here will be specifically for the Golf 5. Let's see. So, I hope I could help one or the other with the topic of bleeding the clutch. We're also going to bleed the brake fluid here because that just looked really terrible. And yeah, that's what the whole thing looks like. If you liked the video, found it helpful, or have any questions, drop them in the comments below. On the topic of gut health, we've already made several videos and you can check those out as well. Just switch to the channel on gut health. That's where it's at. Measure it multiple times. And gut health. The purchase link is below. And if you liked the video, leave a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Goodbye.